Supporters of the Team Unity movement, good evening and welcome again to the town hall meeting. Now, I promise that I won't be too long because I do not plan to steal the thunder of our two more illustrious speakers who are coming behind me. But I wanted to use the opportunity to just focus on some of our achievements that we have been able to claim ownership of as a government, especially as it relates to social services and healthcare. Now, over the past 3 years, you would acknowledge and you would recognize that the Ministry of Health, through the support of the Team Unity government, has been able to achieve a number of strides. Just last December 1st to be exact, we were able to join a group of small OECS countries to declare to be free of HIV and AIDS and also syphilis transmitted from mother to child. And that is a notable achievement for St. Kitts and Nevis. For us to have achieved that, we would have had to have 0 incidents of mother-to-child transmission for at least 5 years. And since the last 3 years we're under this administration, we have every right to claim that. And yes, you can clap for that. Yeah. Because it means then that even if a woman is HIV positive, it doesn't mean she has to give birth to a child that is HIV positive. And that is a wonderful achievement. We would have also, as a result of private sector partnership with government, been able to introduce our own replacement CT scan at JNF Hospital after what was a white elephant that we inherited as an old CT scan that was not performing, erratic at best, and we had to fly in somebody from Guadeloupe every time to fix it. And in a country that suffers the way we do with non-communicable diseases such as strokes, etc., we do need the ability to have the CT scan so that we can know exactly where persons would have had bleeds in their brain from a broken blood vessel, which we know as a stroke, etc. Other private sector investments we were happy to be a part of and to facilitate include the MRI. We have the poster right here in the room that we served over 400 clients in 2017, again, as a response to non-communicable diseases. And we commend Dr. Andy Redman and his team for making this significant investment in the advancement of healthcare. The renovation and reconstruction of a virtually brand new Mary Child's Hospital, that happened in August of 2016. And to close out the years 2016, we were also fortunate in being able to bring to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in the month of December, not only the soft opening of the Mental Health Day Treatment Center, now renamed in honor of Dr. Arthur Lake, but also the introduction of chemotherapy-based cancer treatment in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I think all in all, in 3 short years, your government has been able to make significant strides in terms of improving the health outcomes, the provision of health-related services for the benefit of our people. Having said that, I wanted to spend the rest of the time I have here with you tonight just sharing with you some of the initiatives that your government has in mind for the people of Sandy Point and the surrounding areas. And I would like to start with improvements in healthcare services that are coming to Sandy Point, specifically the development of an in-service training program where Pogson Hospital, your local Pogson Hospital, will become the national hub for in-service training and capacity building to improve the community health, nursing, and medical program in St. Kitts and Nevis. What I mean by this is that if we are accepting the fact that we have a problem with non-communicable diseases like diabetes and stroke and cancer and heart disease, by extension it means that we have to do more by going into the communities to find people where they are, find them where they live, have them checked. Those who can't come to the hospital or the health centers, we do more home visits to go out and reach them, so that at the end of the day, what we will see is a reduction in the number of amputations of persons who have to have limbs removed because of gangrene related to diabetes, reduced incidence of strokes and even cancers, certain types of cancers, and also kidney disease. And we are very lucky to partner with the Taiwanese government in terms of the build-out of a chronic kidney disease program that allows us to screen at the health centers those persons who are at high risk of developing issues, serious life-threatening issues when it comes to kidney disease. Right now, we have a dialysis unit at Jane France Hospital that has about 8 machines. If we are unfortunate enough to have to resort to using hemodialysis, where you have to be brought in for 4 hours to get your blood cleansed and put back in your body, which is a very stressful exercise, if you have that 3 times a week, it can cost you over $100,000, quite simply. That amount of money could wipe out anybody. That amount of money might be worth more than the house that some of us live in, or the cars some of us drive, okay? So it then means that if we are going to pay attention to kidney disease, we want to arrest it at the health center level by having more involvement by our nurses and our district medical officers. The home care officers as well have a role to play so that we can do proper screening, administer treatments, whether it is Clexane or the other drug that is normally given, Eprex, that helps to prevent people from declining into chronic kidney failure. When that happens, your only option after the dialysis is to be fortunate enough to have a kidney transplant. And we would not want anybody to come to that point. So as I said, Pogson is going to be the hub of that program. We have the amount of space that can do it. We do have conference facilities at Pogson, ample parking, ample office space to make that happen. The second point I would like to raise, and this should be a note of welcome to our churches in the Sandy Point area, and that is to announce officially that we have secured the Team Unity government the provision of 14 acres of land just east of this community center, which will serve as the public cemetery for Sandy Point, Newton Ground, New Guinea, and Halfway Tree. So that is just immediately behind me. And basically, we have a situation in Sandy Point where only the Orthodox churches, namely the Anglican Church, St. Anne's Anglican, the Sacred Heart Roman Catholic Church, Emmanuel Methodist Church at Crab Hill, only those 3 churches are fortunate enough to have private cemeteries in Sandy Point. Every other individual religion or denomination is forced to have your funeral service or at least your burial in Bastille. What we are saying is that we want to bring an end to that, so that persons are buried in the communities where they're from, and you have the privilege of accessing your relatives' graves as often as you wish as part of your grieving process to remember them on special occasions and have it right here in the community. Now, this 14 acres of land, it spans the following boundaries. As I said, on the western side, the western boundary will be this development road that is just behind me. The northern boundary is the Crab Hill Gut. The eastern boundary would be the old estate houses for Farms Estate. And of course, the south boundary is the estate road just to the left of us here. And the allocation of the land space for the various churches are as follows. The Anglican Church will get 2 acres. The Methodist Church, 2 acres. The Catholic Church, 2 acres. Calvary Baptist Tabernacle, which is now located in Sandy Point, will be accorded 2 acres. And the evangelical churches, which include Unique Touch Christian Center, Lighthouse Baptist Church, Seventh-day Adventist, the Wesleyan Holiness up the road, Evangelistic Faith, they will share 5 acres between them. And then we have reserved 1 acre, roughly, for non-denominational burials. Those are for people who do not belong to any particular faith, or if it is a case where we have found someone dead and in the interest of public health, we would have to dispose of that body in a quick fashion if they're not associated to any religion. That is the space that is accorded to them, and that is 1 acre as well. Now, it is intended that the Sandy Point Cemetery will be built out as a modern burial site so that it can last as long as possible. What do I mean by this? It means then that rather than the traditional system of just digging a grave 6 feet deep to accommodate one casket or coffin, the infrastructure can be inbuilt where you go down 9 feet, you put in the concrete or the blocks inside of it, and you create a ledge system that allows you to put yet another coffin or casket on top of the one before. What that does is that it extends the life of the cemetery. It also allows you, if you're interested, to have a family plot so that your mother and father or whoever can be in that same plot together. And it saves time, it saves money, and at least you know it is secure. So that is what we have in mind for that area. Shortly, Minister Richards and I will be dealing with the Ministry of Sustainable Development in terms of marking out the boundaries for each of the denominations based on the allotment of the acres I just told you. We have already gone ahead, and Minister Richards, I think we spent over $100,000 together between the two ministries, basically trying to clear the land initially so that you have a better spatial appreciation for the size of land that we are talking about. Because as it is right now, this acreage will be larger than Springfield Cemetery. And we are intending that it is going to last at least 25 years. And especially if we put the type of infrastructure in place where you can put more than one coffin, it could last even longer. The fact of the matter is that as it is right now, Springfield Cemetery, and by the way, I should state that all cemeteries fall under the Ministry of Health, is about full. We are almost out of space up at Springfield. We are at the point where, unless something else is done, or we make allowances for persons to do an above-ground mausoleum, by that I mean you bury the dead on top of an existing tomb, it means that you would have to then do some chemical embalming in order to meet the requirements of public health. Because you cannot expose a regular treated body for burial and expose that body above ground. So that basically is the next phase as it relates to Springfield. But we do not want to have bad experiences now that we've learned lessons and we've learned how to improve upon the burial system to keep it up to international standards. We would like to start with this one as the new model going forward. Any persons with questions, they can ask us afterwards, or the various denominational representatives can feel free to consult Minister Richards or me in terms of getting further information on that particular project. The other point I wanted to discuss is the issue of senior care. We have an aging population in St. Kitts and Nevis, and gradually our seniors are living longer. We are experiencing a time in our history where for the first time we are having numbers like 18 and 19 centenarians in terms of persons who are lucky enough to live to that age of 100 or more. And it then means that we have to put more in place in terms of looking after our senior citizens. As it is right now, there are about 6 or 7 private and public sector-run senior care facilities in the country. There are 5 of them in St. Kitts. And of the 5 in St. Kitts, your own Sandy Point has the highest concentration of senior care facilities, which is unusual. We have Royalty Nursing Home at Crab Hill, we have the Brimstone Hill View over at New Guinea, and then there is Safe Haven at Romney's Ground. What this also means for us is that we do have the benefit of another private facility at Lodge, which is the Grange, and we have the government-run Carding Home. Carding Home cannot take another body right now. It is bursting at the seams with about 81 residents. So what we have decided to do in the Sandy Point area in the meantime is that we have approached the organization, the committee responsible for the assets of SSMC, the former SSMC, and the building just to the west of us, which is the old farms terminus, has been turned over to the Ministry of Health. That building right next to us is a very strong building, has not been used since July of 2005, and the decision has been taken to expand the space and enhance it, so we'll accommodate approximately 10 or 12 persons to create an extension of the Carding Home right here in Sandy Point. By extension, what this means is that persons who are already in the Carding Home from the Sandy Point area we will be moving them into this facility so that they could be closer to their relatives. We already have a number of persons in the Sandy Point area who have made representation to the Ministry of Health about wanting their relatives here. And it is something that the ministry and the Team Unity government welcomes, because just because you put your old relative in a senior care facility, it doesn't mean you park them up in there and you forget them. You need to still have contact with them, you need to visit them, you need to offer support to the facility, and at the same time you might find that they live a lot longer and their life in their waning golden years might be a lot more productive and a lot more pleasant. We have too many people in senior care facilities who are locked away and pushed away because they're considered inconvenient. That is not the approach that this government has to aging, because every single citizen in this country matters, especially our seniors, because if we didn't have them, we won't be here. This country's economy and socio-economic and political fabric has been built on their backs, and this is the time for us to look after them. So that is the approach that we are taking. Now, the existing structure as it is, the terminus building, that will mainly be used as public areas like a visitor's hall, dining and kitchen area, and then the portion that will be built onto the back will be the dormitory as well as the other back service operations like laundry services, etc. So you can look forward to sometime in April where the renovation work on that terminus building will begin. And we are hoping that by June, we should be able to move those 10 patients into that facility. So that is the other point I wanted to raise with you. The other point I wanted to raise, and I'm moving quickly along, is to discuss the issue of decentralizing the services being offered by the Ministry of Social Development, Community Affairs, and Gender Affairs. What do I mean by that? Instead of the traditional system where you have to journey to Bastia just to collect a voucher for groceries or for something else and medical support, we are bringing the services right here to you. So the community centers around St. Kitts are going to be open from 8 to 4, Monday to Friday, by the end of March. The only issue that has prevented us from moving in already is the telecoms infrastructure, because we have to put the lines in, including the internet, so that we can communicate with essential services and the head office. It also means that if you have issues with child probation, a child probation officer is going to be here as well. It also means there should be greater outreach between the churches, the schools, and the community center. By extension, it also means that some of the requests that some of you have been coming to me for continuing education and skill development within the community center will now be possible. I have a number of requests from some women in Sandy Point who wanted courses in things like floral arrangement, learning basic electricals, cake decorating, etc. And this is one way for us to get that type of training to them and better utilize the centers so they do not stay and become white elephants. They're meant to serve the community, so we're bringing the services where people are. And by extension, it is our belief you can't do social work from your desk. You have to go out in the community and see how people live so that programs and projects can be designed to meet the needs that the people have. The final point I wanted to raise is on the issue of sanitation, and that has been a tricky issue, especially for the Sandy Point area. At present, we are now trying to recruit an additional 3 drain cleaners to deal with areas such as the gut, the fig tree area, the lower section, also farm site, and some parts of Cleverly Hill, because they need attention. Part of the difficulty we have is that we hire people as drain cleaners, and some of them are not reliable. The turnover is very high. Issues to do with substance abuse is also a problem. But what I will tell you, at the same time, there are areas of Sandy Point that if we were giving out medals for cleanliness, they would go to those individuals. And I speak of people like Batter, down the gut, who does an excellent job dealing with the area surrounding Mount Idle, Hodgson Hospital all the way up to the alley. It's more workers like that that we want to see in terms of drain cleaners. What I will also say to you is that there are two systems of cleaning when it comes to sanitation. The drain cleaners who come under health and the street cleaners who come under solid waste. There are two additional street cleaners, am I correct, Minister Richards, that we still need to address with solid waste? In the Crab Hill area and Farm Site area. And that is a matter that we are dealing with Alfonso Bridgewater from solid waste to deal with, because we do not hire street cleaners. Nevertheless, we want to have a better working relationship between the parks and beaches workers who deal with the verges on the sides of the road, the drain cleaners, as well as the street cleaners. So that is something we're working on. Now, as I close, I just wanted to mention two other things, and that is to just congratulate the various community groups in Sandy Point who go above and beyond the call of duty to assist with a number of community projects. I speak of church groups, other organizations like Spirit. Without them, we could not achieve what we are achieving in terms of community development. And we are hoping by the heightened presence in the community center by the ministry that we can get a lot more done for the community. As I say this, I am also mindful of the fact that now that we have announced the Six Senses hotel project for the La Valley Greens area, that one of the areas of improvement we need to focus on is the Fig Tree area. The vision of the government is to look towards the turnaround and improvement in terms of housing stock, ambience, everything, in terms of turning over economic activity on that strip of land going down towards Pump Bay, improvement in fisheries, etc., so that our people in Sandy Point can be ready for the jobs and the spin-offs that the Six Senses project is going to bring. And we would solicit your ideas, your input in terms of your vision for that historic Fig Tree area. In closing, I just wanted to wish all the women in this room a happy International Women's Day. That is on Thursday, the 8th of March, and we congratulate every single woman in the Federation, mother or not mother, auntie, grandmother, sister, cousin. Our women folk are important to us. Without women, we would not have a community. So we congratulate each and every woman in the Federation in advance on the occasion of International Women's Day 2018. Thank you for your attention.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.